Are you dealing with a nightmare tenant? Well, let's talk about how to handle evictions and bad behavior without losing your mind. Hey, it's Bud Evans. Before we dive in, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next step-by-step breakdown. So here's a quick story. Just got back from a meetup in Austin, Texas, and it really lit a fire in me. The right mentor and the right network, like the War Room with David Perret, which I'm a member of, can really change your speed and save you from expensive mistakes. So while you're at it, if you need help building your plan, go over to budevans.com, book a strategy session. It's not a sales pitch. I just want to help you get started the right way. And then don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next step-by-step breakdown. All right, let's get started. And I'm going to give you some guidelines for handling bad tenants. Clean, professional, and by the book. Remember, this is not legal advice. Laws are going to vary state by state, so you got to be a subject matter expert. Check your local rules and your local timelines. So let's start first with resetting your mindset. This is a business. You don't argue, you don't guess, you document everything and you enforce it. Every conversation's got to be short, calm, and it's got to be annotated. Write it down. Every promise is going to live on paper. Decide once, then follow your process. Let's start with prevention. If it's not in your lease, it doesn't exist. Clear leases win. So spell out your rent due dates, your late fees, your guest policies, your maintenance expectations, and how people are going to reach you. At move-in, make sure that you do a full condition report and a move-in checklist, time-stamped photos, and have the tenant sign it. That document is your shield if things go sideways, and you can use those photos when they move out to show if there's any damage. So if there is a problem, late rent, damage, noise, communicate fast and in writing. Make sure that you're going to use a firm, simple script. Hey, here's the issue. Here's the lease section. Here's what fixed it. Your deadline is such and such a date. And if it's not fixed by then, I'm going to follow the lease remedies. No threats, no emotion. It's just facts and deadline. Now, what's the most popular thing, I guess, that actually happens here, right? Non-payment. Act on a schedule. Day after it's due, friendly reminder, written notice per your state, pay or quit, cure or quit, whatever. Offer one reasonable path, pay in full or a tight payment plan in writing with dates. And if they default, file. If they default, file. Delays are going to create repeat offenders. Now, for bad behavior or damage, you're really going to want to issue a written cure notice. You're going to cite the lease, the section, talk about the behavior, and then the fix by date. Require proof, receipts, photos, or go in and inspect. And if they don't cure it, they don't fix it, move on to the next legal step. Keep a log of what you're doing, your dates, your times, and witnesses. Save your texts, save your emails, and your voicemails. Do it all in one app if you can. And if it's not documented, it didn't happen. Safety is non-negotiable. So if there's violence, serious threats, or illegal activity going on in the place, call the police, then call your attorney. Don't play hero, secure the property, and protect your neighbors too. And just so you don't think that it's all unicorns and rainbows for me, here's a real world example from one of my properties in Trenton. About 7 months ago, a tenant just decided to stop paying rent. No explanation, just went dark. What did we do? Rent was due. 5 days later, hey, you're going to be late tomorrow. It was late. We immediately filed, right? We retained counsel, we filed, and then rare for Trenton, we got a court date inside of 30 days. In court, Trenton kicked it back. They said they wanted a lead safe certificate. Even though we had submitted one and we had our rental registration done, they said they didn't validate that, even though I had the receipt. They didn't validate that because of that lead cert. So the court pulled the eviction paperwork. Now I still had to pay the $650, but we had to get that new certificate. We got that lead inspection done, secured the certificate. It took us 2 months, and then we refiled. By then, look, we're 7 months in. That's $14,000 in unpaid rent and carrying costs. Meanwhile, what happened? Even though the tenant had gone dark originally, when we let her know that this was all going on, she started harassing us by text, accusing us of being frauds and unprofessional, and still refused to move out. I even tried cash for keys. No go, right? So we're proceeding. We're refiling the eviction. We're turning it into collections. We're going to get a civil judgment. And then I communicated that clearly, not only in writing, but also through our app. And then this course is going to impact her credit and the future housing options. Why am I telling you this? Because it's reality. Even when you do everything right, even when you file fast, you appear in court, you keep your documents clean, you make sure that everything is written down, there are going to be administrative curveballs like a fresh lead cert requirement, right? It can stall all your progress. The solution here isn't to get emotional, to just keep with the process. So make sure that you have everything in one location. Keep all your notices, your filings, your certificates, make sure all that stuff is current. Document every message, stop engaging with abusive people, and route it right to the file. We have a phone system that transcribes every call. So I was able to just capture that and then log it, right? Once, then move on, right? Don't even hesitate. And then refile promptly when your prerequisites change. Pursue lawful remedies, possession, judgment, and if appropriate, collections. That's what professional looks like. Calm, prepared, relentless. It's about the paper trail. So be direct, be clear, and then write it down. And look, I'm an emotional guy, right? I really love to help people, but when it's time to file cleanly. Build an evidence packet, lease, ledgers, notices with delivery proof, inspection reports like the lead safe, photos, and a simple timeline, dates, and bulletproof type facts. So in court, you want to keep it short. Hey, here's the lease, here's the breach, these are the notices, here's the balance, I'm requesting possession and judgment. Judges respect landlords who are going to be prepared and professional. And if you walk in, you've got to walk in with an attorney, especially in New Jersey. If you're an LLC, it's required. I offered cash for keys. What is that? Well, it's a tool. It's not a reward. If the unit's being damaged or you're facing long delays, offer that clean exit. You can offset your cost. Get the written agreement, a firm move-out date, get those keys returned, make sure the unit is broom clean, hopefully, and then get your photos when you do your walkthrough and set a dollar amount. Now, after verification, you're going to change locks immediately after you take possession. I pay usually just the amount that it's going to take to move them out of my property and get them someplace else. Now, when you regain possession, move fast. You want to make sure that your utilities done, locks are changed, deep clean, punch list, photos, bids, schedule, get the turn, and then set a relist date before your repairs start. Time will kill your cash flow. Your goal is days, not weeks. Now lock in your screening upgrades so this doesn't repeat. Tighten your income verification, your rental history, and your references. Actually call prior landlords and ask, just simple, would you rent to them again? It's not illegal for them to say no, right? Verify move-in funds before you get the key, before you give over the keys, walk the house, rules at lease signing, have tenants initial each page of your lease, and then people remember when they sign. Or people might remember what they sign. If they don't, hold them to the standard, right? Weekly updates during any delinquency or violation, day-by-day SOPs for notices, follow-ups and filings, and locksmith coordination. If you're using a PM, a property manager, if you're using a property manager and they can't show you the process on paper, you don't have one. You have hope. And hope is not a plan. So what can you do right now? Here's the exact lines you can use. Make a late rent call, right? Hey, Mr. Tenant, your rent was due on such and such and is still open. Per the lease, the late fee applies on such and such a date. I've emailed your pay or quit notice with the full amount and deadline. If you need to discuss this, you can reply by such and such a time. If you do not reply, keep in mind that a pay or quit notice will be filed and then we will file for eviction. Here's a noise complaint, right? We received a complaint on such and such a date and time. Per section such and such of the lease, your quiet hours are such and such, and this is your cure notice. If this happens again, we will proceed with lease remedies. Let's talk about damage, because this happens. When people get pissed, they're going to smash your stuff. Hey, our inspection on such and such a date found this issue. Please repair it or clean it by this date and send photos or allow access. I go in, right? If it's not cured, we're going to move to the next step in the lease, which is usually eviction. Look for the pattern. Cite the lease, state the issue, provide the fix, set the deadline, and then enforce. Yeah, I was a former cop, so maybe it's a little easier for me, but you can't be emotional about this stuff. Remember, your goal here is resolution, not revenge. The fastest and lowest cost outcome is a tight payment plan that actually gets you paid. And then if it doesn't, get them out of there as fast as possible. Sometimes cash for keys, sometimes it's court. Choose based on your own numbers, your risk, your time, but not emotion. If you need help building your exact playbook, letters, timelines, inspection checklists, and court prep, go to buddevans.com and book a strategy session. Again, it's not a sales pitch. I'll help you map out your steps for your state and your portfolio. All right, I'm going to end this. If you think this was useful or any of the other videos that you watched, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next breakdown. I'm Bud Evans. Execute fast. I'll see you on the next video. Until then, aim high.